to avoid accident is first to discipline ourselves, and there are many ways. And there should be a joint effort by the citizens and the government. One of the things that we have to do, the principle, is to properly demarcate the lanes. Very often the roads are broad and the lanes are not demarcated. It's free for all. People keep on swaying from one end of the road to the other. If there is a proper lane demarcated in white, one is automatically forced, even in his subconscious, to keep his lane and drive in one lane. We need to educate first through radio ads, through TV ads, that what a proper lane driving should be and how it can be safe. That the left lane is cruising and right lane is overtaking. That the heavy vehicles should move on the left side and not on the right side. And first, we should educate the driving schools. I have seen driving schools driving on the right lane, teaching their students on the right lane. Now this is not a done thing. If this is the type of driving schools and if these are the type of drivers they are going to produce, you and I have, it's a lottery when we are on the road. So there are some basic things we have to put in place. There has to be a proper campaign, as I said, on the TV in a language that everybody can understand. A simple thing, how to drive your cars in the lane, which lane to drive and which lane to overtake. Then we have another tricky spot is when you are crossing, when you are cutting the lane. Very often if somebody wants to go on the, take a right turn, they'll be on the left turn and they'll cut in front of you. These are important things that we have to teach. It will take a long time, it's not easy. Because this is something that's new and very often, as Chandrakant was saying, we are not too keen in learning and being disciplined. One of the things is helmet, whatever came out. There are other things that cause accidents. One is parking in no parking zones. The moment you broaden the road, it becomes a parking for everybody. Now, this is not done. This is not done. Once you start parking on the roads, you narrow the road. And then it's a football game. You're just going to dodge traffic till you hear the bang. Very often I have seen, this is the worst thing. If you go from Panjim right down to Kalangut or even Saigon, you see the Chogam road. It's like playing catching to driving on that road. Both the sides the cars are parked, anywhere the cars are parked. When the police come, they immediately miraculously disappear from there. The moment the GPS passes, the cars will come again. I mean, don't fool around, because they're fooling around in lives of others. We have to be self-disciplined. And if we are not self-disciplined, we are putting ourselves and others at risk. The speed breakers is another problem. Now it's free for all. I think anybody and everybody who feels like putting up a speed breaker, he puts it up. Actually, speed breaker should be legally done with the notification in the paper, the correct authorities, the correct shape, the correct size, and marked in white so people can see where the speed breaker is. And the speed breaker spirit is to control the spirit and not to break your bones. So no two speed breakers can go of the same shape or size, unfortunately. So these are the things that are causing hell of a lot of problems. And again, if they are not demarcated properly, last moment you apply brakes, and then the guy behind, if he's too close, you pat him on the back. Goa has a problem because it is a tourist state. You see the number of vehicles that are self-driven vehicles. You see the number of tourist vehicles. You see the number of bikes the youngsters go. They don't know the roads. The pillion rider is telling them about, giving them instructions according to the map that they are following. The attention is somewhere else. All the time trying to figure out whether they are taking the right turning or not, whether they have reached the right restaurant or not. And when they reach, voila, they just apply brakes. And if you are not careful, you are going to bang them. It happens. So we have to be extra careful in Goa. I learned this in Miami. There was one friend of mine, a girl who had a fabulous sports car. And she was driving slowly. I said, why are you driving slowly? She said, I drive fast only when I'm out of Miami. Miami, 60% of the drivers are tourists. And if we speed up here, although we are allowed to speed up, somebody else is going to come in your way. It always happens in touristic states. The people don't know the roads properly, they don't know the spots properly, they don't know the shops or wherever they want to go, and there are sudden stops and sudden starts. And these are the things that create a problem and create accidents. Of course, speed limits. We must keep up to our speed limits. And traffic cameras have come. Thank goodness for that. Especially at the traffic lights. Now we have got some road heroes who will wait till the last moment, and they'll take that advantage of probably theory of probability, where there'll be about 10 to 12 seconds before the next guy stops, so I've got a gap and I can run through all the red light has just come. This is crazy. He should be photographed by the cameras and he should get a love letter from the judges. Not this, because you're playing with the lives of others. You are playing with the lives of others. It's nothing, it's the self-discipline, it's education, learning how to drive on this, because this is a new thing that has come up our way. And unless we do this, or anything and everything we do will be not as effective as it should be. I'm not saying that it will be a waste of time. Now, there are the youngsters also who are most of the time on their phones. Now, you just stop the car, make a call, it will take two minutes, and that 2 minutes can save your life and save the life of somebody else. These things are not done and they should not be accepted. Again, Goa, as I said, is a young state, there are youngsters, there are tourists, so the best way in Goa to drive is defensive driving. It might be your right to go, but you look left, you look right and be a defensive driver. That's the way to reach safe to your wife and the children. Because however good you might be, however safe you might be, however careful you might be, you can't predict the other guy. So defensive driving in a state where there are new drivers every second day is the key to survival. Now, we see that there are so many vehicles in Goa roads, and every month they keep on increasing, the two-wheelers, the four-wheelers. And it was said that in Goa there are more per capita cars or vehicles, not cars, both, than Paris. Well, some people thought it was a great thing, but this was a sign of failure. We failed. Where we failed? In proper mass transit system. If we have a proper mass transit system, connecting our towns to the cities, the touristic spots to the cities, a rapid system, which is everywhere, and this is no rocket science. We make the best buses in India and we export them all over the world. Let us bring some of them in Goa and have this mass transit system. People will leave their cars at home and take advantage of this. Why do we have so many cars? Why we are notorious by having highest number of per capita cars almost in all over the world? Is because we have no other option but sit in our cars and reach to the offices to work or schools, drop our children to school, wherever. So the answer to a lot of our problems could be a proper mass transit system. If you see there are so many issues, so many problems when you are driving. I'm driving I think for the last 55 years. And I don't know, other drivers don't like me, so they have not banged me so far. So they're keeping away from me. But it's a tension. It is a tension today. Today I find it a problem after having so many years experience. It's because people overtake you from any side. They cross lanes in front of you to go to wherever they want to go. They stop suddenly. This is all I have said. They start suddenly. So you don't know what the next move and next driver is. Drinking and driving is bad. And that also should be controlled. But then I had a friend of mine. He came to Goa. He's a Goan. He works abroad. He came on a holiday and he said there's a big difference between last time and this time in driving. There was a time when in Goa, I would make sure I wouldn't drink and drive. But as the situation is today, I cannot drive without a drink. the shoe was on the other foot. This is in lighter vein, you shouldn't do this. But I was trying to impress on how things have changed in Goa, how fragile our lives on the street. And unless we self-discipline ourselves, authority second, first we have to self-discipline ourselves. We have to have love for life and not think that our life is cheap, that we can just, finish it on the roads. We have to be very serious in whatever we do. Discipline, and we have to adhere to the traffic rules. I am very happy that the chamber is having this function here. It's a very important function because it deals with lives of people. And we have Goa Institute of Management Studies that is always with the chamber, not only now, but in many previous events that we've had. We have Ronald Martins also, who has been in charge of, he has come and joined us in many events that we've had. And the police force, who are important, integral part of this safety in traffic, they themselves have been very, very big friends of the chamber, and we've had many other events together in order to help the citizens of Goa. With this few words, I welcome you, all of you all once again to the chamber, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, President, for your views and thoughts. And I now hand over to Professor Kingshuk Sarkar of Goa Institute of Management to take this program forward. Professor Sarkar.
Good evening to you all, and good evening all the dignitaries on the dais. I'm very thankful to the Goa Chamber of Commerce for giving, co-organizing this very important event along with us. We in the Goa Institute of Management, we have a center called Center for Public Policy and Governance, and Professor Morris is the chairperson of that center. I'm a member of that center. So we are happy to kind of collaborate with you to co-organize this very important, I think, kind of event, particularly as Mr. Ralph D'Souza said, that it deals with the life of the people. There are very important speakers, and before I will not take much time so that we listen to the important speakers. I also thankful to all the audience who have made time to come here. We have some of our faculties also in the audience, Professor Ashay, Professor Sultankar, Professor Joy, and we have from our center Miss Barnes and Miss Christian. We, as part of our Give Goa project, we have a Give Goa project. In that project, our students do projects on socio-economic issues relevant to Goa. So, three of our students are here, Bhavik, Dawal and Ayush. They will be presenting on a project they did on the road safety, particularly on the road safety. They will present before us. So the students are also here. Thank you. Thanks for that. So before I go to the other speakers, I try to give set a context for this. I think most of the things are already been said by Mr. Ralph D'Souza. There has been last couple of years has seen a lot of rise in the road accidents in Goa. So according to the data furnished by the police, from January 23 to April 23, there were 104 persons lost their lives in 951 accidents reported to date. So last 4 months, in this year, first 4 months, witnessed 104 deaths on the Goa roads. And if we look at the fatalities in 2022, it was 218. But within 4 months of this year, we have crossed 100. So this is a very scary thing, I would say. And most of the people who died were youth aged between 18 and 25. So there are organizations like Goa CAN, Goa Road Safety Forum and MARN who are working on these issues. But statistics do tell a very horrible, very scary kind of a picture. So in 2020, 14.5 lakhs vehicles were registered, and in 2021 it was 14.9 lakh, and in 2022 it climbed to 15.4 lakhs. So if you see, the registration of vehicles in Goa is showing a northward graph. And if you look at the overall of our country scenario, Goa's car ownership is 45%, which is the highest in India. Like even Delhi has a car ownership of 17%. So we consider Delhi as a very car intense place, but Goa is far ahead. So almost one in every person in Goa owns a car. So and the reason is very clear, because public transport system is very poor. So every time, suppose we live in Pori and near Sankyoli, we find it very difficult to use any public transport to come to Panjim or Mapsa or Margao. So because the public infrastructure, public transport system is not that developed. So very likely that people will use the vehicles more. But there are issues with regard to road design, road infrastructure, which I think Professor Morris will deal with in his address. And another thing I found, that if you go by the statistics here, we find that that there is a part in like rise in accidents post-pandemic. I feel like it is related to the fact that during pandemic, particularly after the lockdown, the number of two-wheelers has gone up quite sharply, and it is shown in the registration of two-wheelers also. So people, they wanted to avoid a crowded place and they have to have their own transport, so they invested in two-wheelers. So you see, suppose if we stop at the railway crossing near Old Goa, in 5 minutes there would be 300 two-wheelers accumulating in that crossing. So that means when that signal is done, like people then start to move fast. 5-10 minutes you can't even move because the two-wheelers take over the road. So and problem with that, many two-wheeler drivers, they have not learned the driving properly. Like they are using road without proper driving skill. So it is very visible, particularly after pandemic. And here also there is issue of rent-a-car service. But people from outside come, they rent a car. There is no problem with that. The problem with that, many times what they do, they don't know where to move. They just bang in from middle of the road, they just stop. So that creates a lot of problem. Then you have problem of piling up. So all this happen, and so I think the residents of Goa, they bear the burn of most of these problems. Like there is anger among the residents of Goa in that sense that people from Kunde, they have threatened to boycott the Lok Sabha election in 2024 if the accident-prone zones are not rectified. Also, the Gram Sabha at Sanhordem turned stormy after the increase in number of accidents in the village due to heavy traffic movement. So there are areas like even Panjim police station areas, a lot of traffic accidents happen, particularly the road from Panjim to Porvorim. So all these things is actually avoidable. So we can avoid this kind of frequent occurrence of accidents. So it would have been great if we had one representative from the PW department, because they are responsible for road design, road signage, all these things. But still we have officials from the police department, officials from the transport department, and we also have a representative from a very important organization, GoaCan. So they will talk about, they can represent the views of the Goa citizens. And we have also Professor Morris. So in the interest of time, I stop here and I invite Professor Morris to deliver his address.
Okay, thanks King Shuk, and thanks Ralph and the Goa Chamber and all the people who have come here. Now, stop me, and then you think you should stop me. Because I can go on this. It's something where I bring in not only the intellectual understanding but also the emotion. So you'll have to stop me. Okay, so first let me start by saying that if I were to drive, I would, and I do that, and I believe my driving skills are better than most people. My reflexes are significantly better. But even then, I'll do exactly what Ralph has been saying. Drive in such a way that I can't control the terrible roads, the bullock cart on the road or whatever else. So I have to drive in such a way that I don't hurt others and I don't hurt myself. So that goes without saying. So there are two levels at which the whole discussion can take place. One is in terms of behavior, okay, and there I agree with everything that is being said, okay, and I would probably be the person who follows it all, However, there is another level at which the debate can happen or the discussion, that is in terms of the actual, road geometrics, the environment in which you drive, the design of roads, the management of roads and so on, which is, sorry to say this, is absolutely pathetic, and I'll outline this in a moment. And so let me first start by saying that I am talking about it from the point of view of leverage points for change. And when I say leverage points for change, it typically happens with government. Okay, government has to do things because government is in the leadership position. We are talking about public value. So when there is public value, I can keep my house clean. However, if the outside is not clean, there's very little I can do. Okay? Because that involves that the municipality works and cleans up, comes out with the right programs, policies, organizations, develops capability within in order to handle this. Okay? So let me just start with so you get the difference. So I'm not denying anything that is being said about behavior, and I would blame the individual if some individual comes and asks me, young fellow comes and asks me, hey, what is to be done? I'm not going to tell him about road geometries. I'll tell him, look, you drive carefully, never drive unless you see in front. Don't believe all the signages, by all means look at it, but still drive only when you see that the road in front of you is clear. Okay? So things like that I'm going to tell. But let's now, for a moment, retreat back and take a look at the structural issues in road safety. Okay? The first thing to recognize is that India has simply 10 times the world average in terms of accidents. Okay? So we have something like 1.2% of the world's vehicles. However, we have more than 10% of the world's serious accidents. Okay? I have done this computation. When you do it not on vehicle kilometers, which is the correct measure, and not on population, if you do it on vehicle kilometers, not even on vehicles, okay, vehicle kilometers done in India by the total accidents by the vehicle kilometers, and similarly of other countries, we are probably in the range of 10 to 15. And we have come down very dramatically over the last 10-15 years because the vehicle kilometers have gone up with the improved national highways. Okay. So the reality is that we had terrible accident rates in the past. The numbers may not have been that often, and the numbers have risen, but the vehicle kilometers have risen even faster. Okay? And this is very important to recognize. So how bad is the problem that you have a sense? Can you blame culture? Yes, you can. And I accept that fully. But you stop by just that blame and do nothing? The answer is no. Okay? So now there is a dynamics of adherence. Okay? Why do people adhere to traffic rules and why don't they? This point has to be first understood. And sorry to say, very few of the police in the country really understand this. I can remember in Ahmedabad, we had fairly wide roads, okay? But the accident rates were high. Of course, these were not very serious accidents, but every car was dented. Okay? Then the police, we had a training program, and they said that we should teach people and so on. We said, no, nothing doing. You have to teach yourself. And what is it that you have to teach? Look, the probability that I adhere to the traffic rules, is something which is internal to me. Sure. Okay? That means if I am a more adventurous guy and Kinshuk is a state guy, he will always have a higher probability of adhering to the traffic and I may tend to violate. However, both of us end up doing what our neighbors do. Okay? So if I see many more people violating, for the first 2 years I saw this, I didn't violate. But then I decided that look, there is no way I can drive without violating. Okay? In Ahmedabad. And I being better than others, I could violate and do it better and always get on top of people. But the point to recognize is when the police came, okay, and finally when they understood this problem, they raised the punitive measures, but they did that rationally. Okay? And once they did that, they drew the lines, the traffic violations came down. Okay? Dramatically. From a situation where most are violating, to come to a situation where very few are, you need to raise the punitive measures and then drop it. Normal punitive measures are not going to work. Okay? And these have to be rational. You have to think it through. Okay? You can't just say I'll charge 10,000 rupees for a traffic violation. That's nonsense. You can't say I'll charge 50 rupees. You must say I'll charge maybe 300 rupees, maybe 500 rupees. And then your cops have to be actually able to charge and not put the money in the pocket. Okay? So that's also important. And that was done wonderfully well in Ahmedabad for a while. And the traffic really improved. So the same guys, remember, who come from this dirty culture, so-called, when they go to New York, they're not going to violate because they see nobody violating around. So what we do is a function of what others do. And that can be exploited by the authorities. If they don't know that, if they sit back and say, hey, you guys are bad, that's it. Okay, so that's one thing. That means how do you change the culture? Now let's come to the road geometrics. Okay? The road geometrics, I'll talk about road safety and how the government in solving one problem creates another. Okay, so let me first talk about road designs. National highways were built, there are 6-lane highways, but you will have a road median which goes for 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers without a break. However, anybody can join in on the left side. Okay, now what kind of nonsensical design is this? I have found it nowhere else in the world. So what happens, any trucker is going to come in on the left side, he wants to go here, he won't go that way and turn around because that means another 3 kilometers. So he'll go ulta. Okay? And this is one of the most reasons for serious accidents on the highways. That alone has killed a number of people. And believe me, cops in Ahmedabad, even now I guess, they don't know that this is a more serious violation than not wearing your safety belt. Okay? So if you don't wear your seat belt, they'll charge you. However, if somebody comes the wrong way on a divided road, there is nothing in the manual which says that I should catch this car. Okay? So can you imagine this? That you have, where the designer, what's the designer? You have a long median and fellows joining in on the left. There is absolutely no hierarchy on Indian roads. All roads all over the world are designed on hierarchy. Okay? What is hierarchy? If there is a huge highway passing, you don't just enter it. Okay? You have a so-called service road, which is, we are just beginning to do that. But then, if you look at the Indian service roads, they attack the roads at such an angle that you are inviting accidents. So they are literally death traps. Okay? So that's just one thing, lack of hierarchy, irrational hierarchy. Okay? Angles of connect of highways are absurd. Because we have a land acquisition problem, okay? We don't acquire land in a rational way in order to connect in such a way that you can see. And even if that is done, you will not prevent people from coming so close to the road and opening their kiranas that you can't even see anything other than the road, on the road. Okay? So these are all done routinely elsewhere. These are only subcontinental problems. We can feel better about it, that we can feel good about it that Pakistan is worse than us. That's all. But if you go to Malaysia, if you go anywhere else, this is not the case. Okay? Yeah. So now, you have 6-dimensional roads. So I consider the driving to be a 6-dimensional problem. Okay? First of all, there are, and this is more so in Goa and mountainous areas, there are curves. The road can go up and down, 2 dimensions. Potholes, you have to watch and steer the potholes, which is not there in Goa, by the way. And surface differences. Okay, sides. Okay, suddenly I'm driving, I'm okay, but the road side now gets it. Okay? That means the road widens and and so on. So there are medians, sudden division of the road into 2, sudden convergence of the road into 1. All of these are there. And then of course traffic. Anybody can park anywhere. Partly behavioral and partly engendered. Because on a long highway, it's sensible to have, even if it's a small 2-lane or 4-lane highway, to have, let's say, every kilometer a certain area where the road doubles. Just so that somebody can park out there or just take a breather or go slower out there. No such thing anywhere in the country. Because we have a land acquisition problem, we want to acquire the minimum amount of land. Okay? Now surprises. When I say young people, you should drive only by looking. Why do I say this? Because the signages, don't just follow the signages. They are an entrapment. Okay? If you follow the signages, what will happen? You will think that, hey, this is a fine road. Suddenly the signages will vanish. Okay? And then you are left to, so don't ever get used to signages, but watch them all certainly. Okay? Signages, surface variations, I already talked about, road quality. Effect edges, edge effects. If there are 2 contractors who have built a road, this guy up to this point and that guy up to that point, the edge is such an uncertain thing that you can have an accident. A road joining a bridge is a sudden jump because the leveling has not been done. Who the hell builds these kind of roads? I can't understand. Okay? Yeah. Now hard circulations. Okay. Let's say you have a road and you have its. None of the very few of the roads in India are what is called a shoulder. Okay. Now the shoulder on a narrow road must be in level with the road. Shoulder on a wide road can be higher, but it can't ever be lower. Okay. India is the only country in the world where the shoulder is lower. Okay. Now let's go further. Okay. Yeah. So then speed breakers. He talked about. I won't say a word on that. You all know how it causes accidents. Okay. Yeah. No side skid traps, even on expressway. A few have come. Okay. Dangerous toll booths. You can have toll booths. You come like this and then you turn and have a toll booth. The Mumbai-Pune expressway, when it reaches Pune, comes at you come typically at 100, and then there is a 90-degree turn. Okay. So if you come now, of course they have put some warning, rubber. But I can imagine, when I used to drive there on the highway, I'd just come. Everyone would go there. The tires would screech and some of the tires would come out, with the braking. And this is on a national highway. Okay. Yeah. So, dangerous toll nakas, construction surprises. The Indian contractor does not have a code of behavior. So if he is going to construct something on the road or a building or anything, he would maximize the pain to society. That's his logic, because he minimizes the cost. But remember, there are good models. When the metro rail happened, Sridharan put in place a contract document which says how you are supposed to construct if you are a contractor. It will raise the cost by maybe 5%. But nobody has heard of it. None of the PWDs have heard. Okay? Yeah, so invisible cons. Okay? And Goa, of course, as you know, specializes in that because we allow the bushes to be there from year to year. Nobody cuts the bushes on the sides of the roads. Okay? Yeah, no new alignment. See, this is a disease in road design. If you look at the road structure, and all you have to do is, I have the pictures since I can't project it. Go to any other country. There is a grid pattern to highways in the countryside, and there are grid patterns to roads in the city. We either because of architectural exuberance or original point to point, all our roads are point to point. So the Punjab has more roads than most other places in the world. Okay, believe me. Yet it has one of the highest accident rates and the slowest movement because all the roads are point to point. Every village is connected in a kind of triangular grid. Okay? Now, if you have a triangular grid, you can't go without hitting each habitat. So we ensure a road design by which the local inside the habitat, in the periphery of the habitat traffic and the through traffic always have to meet and then separate. Okay? Data shows that the through traffic in Indian roads is as high as 25 to 30%. Okay, in terms of rate. Now, who asked for this design? Okay. Now, what happens is you build a bypass, right? To avoid the city like Hyderabad, anything, they would build a bypass. Even a village here could build a bypass. What happens? People go and stay on the bypass. Why do they stay on the bypass? Because the FSIs, the floor density and so on, the town planning is so bad that the road now becomes, the bypass becomes the city. The Cochin bypass has become the city. The Ahmedabad bypass is now the city. Okay? The Ahmedabad ring road is the city. Then in crossing the ring road, you have all the accidents and all the slowing down. So it's like designed to kill, designed to lose value. Okay? No land use changes. Now we talk about public transport, but much of public transport is unviable. If you really want a metro, like in Delhi, okay, I'm not talking about Goa problem. You need a metro, but you need high density. Okay? Most of the people have to stay around the metro so that they can walk in and out. But you build a metro, but you don't raise the density. Okay? So what's the disease here? You bring all the roads into the point west, east of Pancham. So all the roads have to converge east of Pancham and then diverge from there. Okay? So, for instance, on the highway that you see next door, we have all the through traffic in Goa actually going through that. Okay? Along with the Panjim to Mapusa to Vasco and so on traffic. So it's a design which kind of encourages through traffic along with city traffic to mix. And the city traffic and through traffic are different. When you're driving in the city, you typically drive slowly. Through traffic is different. And when they come together, the accident probabilities are extraordinarily high. Okay? Yeah. Large variety of vehicle types. Tatas compete with Mahindras and they compete with others to generate all kinds of jugards. Okay, now what are these jugards? Different vehicles with different speed torque characteristics on the same road chew up the carrying capacity. Okay, so if you put all vehicles that are similar, the carrying capacity goes up. No wonder that Indian roads, despite being as wide as American roads, could often have a peak load congestion point happening at less than 1/3 the load of an American road. So it's not that we don't have roads, but they're ill-designed. And also we have huge number of vehicle types. To a certain extent, the vehicle types cannot be controlled. But then the government has no such policy of saying that, look, you can't build this low acceleration vehicle just because it seems cheaper. It seems cheaper to the private operator, but the social cost of that is extraordinarily high. Okay? So, an ACE or those kind of vehicles which you see are terrible actually on the roads. Okay? Yeah. Now, most important, within the city, and Goa is not free from that. Okay? There are very few actual roads. You look at any other city in the world, reasonable ones, there will be a number of roads which go along one axis and a number of roads which go along the other axis. What we do is, out of potentially 20 such ones, we pick one and that becomes the main road. And similarly, one other. So all traffic gets passed on to the few actual roads because very few are actually complete. Okay? So you need to complete the actual completeness. Now, in places like Ahmedabad, where we could have done it, in Ahmedabad, in Delhi, what we do is we close the roads by having T junctions. So look at the number of T junctions in India versus crosses. Okay? So these are design errors. These have happened because our master planners are mere architects. None of them do any town planning. Yeah. Okay. I need to stop. Okay, just give me a minute. Now the next is river development, which is important for Goa. Okay. Because all the roads always pass through the city, through the villages. So the villages are becoming the hot points of accidents. Okay. Now we could easily take a bypass, but if you now don't restrict the occupation of the bypass, you're not going to solve the problem because you'll jump from one bypass to the other. So the way you can restrict is by allowing the village actually to expand a little bit more and not constrain them through the RPG 21 and all that nonsense. Okay? Yeah, so that's one thing. Now, ribbon development is a standard problem in Kerala, in Goa, and everywhere else. In Kerala, of course, it's a complete clobbering of development. What is ribbon development? You have a road, people have occupied it, you can't get access to the interior. Okay? So you can't expand the road because the road then has the highest property values allowed up. Okay, right? So road designs. Now I just stop with one terrible thing which I think is Goa specific and which we should stop. If you drive along the highways in Goa, along the road, you'll find these huge pits which are in plain. Okay, these water draining pits. Okay, so if two vehicles come, there's a good chance that you go into the pit. Okay, now because of that risk, people drive more central and they don't give each other way. I talked to some people in Asnora in the village and they said that look, every day some 6 or 7 of these accidents happen where a road gets into a pit. Why are these pits there? So as to drain away monsoon waters. How does the world solve this problem without creating pits half a foot away from the road? And now the pit, the police and whoever does it, insists that in front of every house the pit cannot be closed. So what is this disease? What's the reason for it? If you cover the pits, it will get soaked and it will get choked. The rainwater will not be drained. As if the municipality has a right not to keep cleaning this. Okay? So you can't cover them so that it's left open. Now when it's left open, it creates an accident. Okay? So I just stop here and say that look, these are things which public managers need to address. Yes, people have to follow. When I walk out of this room, I'm not going to get angry because of this and drive aggressively or incessantly. I know that it is still my mistake if I don't drive carefully. Okay? However, that doesn't mean that these problems should never be addressed. And public authorities must throw it at the people. They should go back and think about what they need. Okay? That is my point. Okay?
Thank you, Professor Morris, for your enlightening talk. So now I will invite our students, Bhavik, Ayush and Dhaval, to make a presentation. Is it possible to make a presentation? So I would request for the presentation for better view on the presentation. All the dignitaries can sit in the front row so that the presentation is more visible. You please make presentation.
फुटले भाग्य म्हणजे
This is part of our deep work project. We have a project which spans over 3-4 months. So on every Thursday, they go to different fields in Goa and learn about the life there. So there are different things for this project. So we have a group of 6 students doing one project. So these three and another three as a group and did this project on road set. So it will be useful to look at that. No problem. You start first.
Good afternoon to everyone present here. So today we are the students of Goa Institute of Management and we are here to present a presentation in front of you. So what is Give Goa Initiative? So Give Goa Initiative is a project which has been started by our college, which is Goa Institute of Management, and it aims at providing corporate social responsibility to the environment and provides the opportunity. Keeping in mind the concept of responsible management, students, we are here to present the presentation in front of you.
So our client was CII, Confederation of Indian Industry. They basically help us providing the insights and connecting us with the relevant authorities. So along with them, we worked on our project. So basically our project was black spot identification, wherein we aim to observe the spots where the accidents are more happening. And basically a black spot is a spot where 10 accidents have happened in the area of 500 meters. So we understand that the accident can happen because of various reasons. As explained by the sir, that it can happen with the human negligence, but there are other factors also, like improper effect or low visibility of any traffic signal or any animal over the road.
So what was our methodology? We have used the data-driven approach. So the data-driven approach, we have taken the data from the police officers, from the DYSP, and we worked on how a spot became a black spot, and we have identified the number of accidents which were happening there and what could be the probable reason for an accident at that place. So we have identified some roads. So we have started with the meeting with the DYSP Traffic Cell North Goa, and we have identified the causes of the accidents and what could be a probably a reason and which could be the blind spot or a black spot. And after that, we have done a meeting with the lead agency. So at that point of time, we are able to understand the actual problems with the roads in Goa, and the sir had told us to work on education, enforcement and the engineering of the roads.
So now going forward, these are the some spots we have visited. So first spot is this is NL66, which is the Mapsa Panji Road. So what happens is, as you can see, there's a signal over here. But what is happening is, when a vehicle is coming from a very high speed, there's a sharp turn. Instead, the signal itself is a blind spot. We can see that. Many people, like tourism, they are tourists, they are not aware that there's a signal ahead. Also, if you see that there's a, you can see myself in the pink shirt, there's a service lane, but there's no proper marking over there. So people are not getting the road dynamic, how we should drive in at that moment. So these are the, we have noted down, made a report what we can make on this spot, what improvement can be done. So going to the next spot, so we had an opportunity, we know everyone, this is the major circle. So here what happens is there are 10 lanes coming at the circle. So although there's an improvement made now, we had worked last year on this, so there's a AI installed, but still there are no proper markings. We can say, although there's a development going on, but there's a disaster made on this spot. So currently we had talkings with the police officers. They had suggested that there should be a proper divider. So they are the ones who are facing it. They are being there every day. So they say that they have to make this jugaad. They also are not getting proper support. So they insisted us that a proper orange color, the fiber divider should be installed over there, and so that one who is driving get to know what lane he has to follow. Most of the time the driver is not aware which lane they have to follow, and the lane keeps on changing every month also. So this is one of the most dangerous spots, Unda IDC. What happens is the road is coming from the industrial estate and there is a road coming up. So what happens is angle of banking. So angle of banking is something that when you are in a layman's word, I can explain that when you are taking a turn over a slope, so there is a chances that you might slip. So what happens is that many of the lorries, and we had talked with the local over there. So they told us that most of these accidents are happening at night time, and there's no proper illumination over there. Going forward, we also saw that this road is there, so it's coming from a slopey area. Thus that we can take a protective measure step. We can lower down this angle. There's a speed breaker over there. If we try to reduce, and you can also see there's no proper marking. We can try to reduce, like a vehicle is coming this way. So if we try to get this vehicle towards right, and if the vehicle is coming from the top, we need to give them a direction because we are not aware what I should follow. So this is the thing. Yeah. So this is one of the, like when this road was built, within a month there were 5 accidents. And this, again there is a case of angle of banking. Vehicles are coming at very high speed and at the turn they are losing the control over there. So we can say that once a development is done, we cannot work. But at this spot, I suggest that we can make a work on this. As there's again, as this road is landing, there's again a uphill ahead. So we can try to reduce the angle of banking at this point. We can extend this flyover to ahead at the uphill.
Next is Bhatia Papar, Bonda, Uzgaon Road. So basically what happens, this is a place where most of the shops are present and most of the local children and people are seen moving around here, and we can see that there is a truck which is coming on this road. So what happens that many times we have asked the locals and we have interviewed with them. So what happens that the truck backs into the people, and what happens, there would be a probability of an accident. Like if a person is coming on a two-wheeler, he could probably back into that truck. And we have asked the local people, they were saying that due to less instructions and signages and there is a road, as you can see there is a road which is less constructed. So there are probably the reason of the accident. So we can improve this. And so this is the service lane joining N66 near petrol pump. Here what is the main concern, that there is a highway which is coming from there. And what happens, the truck comes from the main highway and takes a U-turn in the service lane. There is no diversion for the service lane at the back side. So what happens, usually the drivers come and take a U-turn for the petrol pumps or such. So what happens, if a person is coming from the service lane, they could probably bang into that truck. This was a truck which was happening in front of us, so we have a ground reality that what was the situation there. As we can see, there is no space for a car moving if a truck is like rotating there.
The thing is over here is like people, it's a new constructed road. People are not aware that they should not move in that lane. So installing signages would be a better thing. This is the Dolphin Circle near the Kalangut. So here it's a touristic spot. Most of the accidents happen at the night time, drink and drive basis. So also the reason for accident was, as told by the police officers, was that people go and hit the divider. Now this divider, which is of concrete, is a problem. So we can also, there's no divider over here. They are using guard, using the barricades. There's no illumination at this spot. So if we install those fiber divider, would be a better solution for this spot. So again, this is again another road in Kalangut. Although these roads were of olden times, it has been like we have made changes. So there are many issues. Like you can see the pictures. There is no proper one thing. This vehicle is coming, the scooter is behind it. So as you can see on the Google map, we can try to make this as one way, if it's possible. And it's possible as that you can see near the red landmark. There are 3 roads. So we have a possibility to make this a less accident prone zone. So as we were proceeding with our projects, we saw that we were working on old data, which was post of pre-2021 data. So when we were working on the data, we have seen that government has done some good work. They have been working on those spots. So out of 34, they have been reaching to 14 spots. So there are some development going on, and also when we saw that due to development also there are some additional blind spots. Like you can see this is a spot near Thargad Redgar Hospital. So what happened is they have built a flyover, but at the underpass it's creating a blind spot. Now there are no mirrors and all. So these are the points which we need to concern, and going ahead this can be a blind spot. So this was the 20 spots we have covered and made a report on this. We have traveled more than 2,000 kilometers on the road analyzing. We were going to the spot, analyzing it for 20 minutes and trying to figure out what are the key points, what are the routes causing the accident. So we have suggested solutions which are feasible solutions and can be implemented. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I will frequent the dignitaries back in the
Back to the podium.
dignitaries, please back to the podium. So our next speaker is Mr. Nidin Bhalsan, IPS, Superintendent of Police, North Goa.
All the eminent dignitaries on the stage, people who are present here, young generation who are participants to this program. First of all, I would like to give my heartfelt appreciation to the Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry for arranging this road safety awareness program. We have eminent speakers here who have researched very well, understood the problems and came up with different solutions as well. I would also like to appreciate the students who did a marvelous job by working very hard and going through each and every roads and finding out the problems and highlighting the dark spots of the problem to rich areas which we can improve upon. The number of accidents vis-a-vis the population in Goa is high. In fact, over the last 3 years, there has been an increase in the number of fatal accidents. This year, compared to the last year, the number of accidents are less, but the number of fatal accidents I will give you the definition of fatal in some time. Fatal accidents are higher than the last year, which was yet higher than the previous year. So accidents can be, in police circles, we divide the accidents into 3 types of accidents. One is simple accident, second is a grievous accident, and third is fatal accidents. Simple accidents are accidents in which neither the victim or there has not been a serious injury, but there has been an impact or there has been a touch between both the parties, and there has been a violation of the rules or the laws, which is known as a simple accident. And we have a grievous accident in which most of the times the victim has got a grave injury, and in majority of the cases it will be fracture or there is many injury in which the person is still alive. There is grievous accident. And the last is the fatal accident, which is the most serious, and in which the life of the victim in majority of the cases have been lost. So there are various reasons for the number of accidents. The eminent speakers have highlighted majority of the problems. We are a developing country, we are a democratic country, we are a country which believe in continuous feedback and which we believe in improving our systems. And I believe our system and government are continuously working on that. We have been repeatedly taking feedback from the civil society, from all the stakeholders, and there has been increased synergy between the departments and units in finding out the solutions and improving the road signages, improving the road safety, and in a better safety for everyone. But at the same time, since I am addressing a group where we have a lot of youngsters sitting here, I would just like to highlight what I have understood while going through and studying this issue. I am basically SP North Goa and crime. In between I have looked after the charge of traffic, though I am not a full-scale SP traffic. But since I am in the district and since I have seen accidents, most serious of the accidents are the accidents in which life is gone, but at the same time grievous accidents are also equally dangerous as well. When we study the accidents in Goa, I am more concerned about the fatal accidents because I think that is something which we can't give back to the person. In the entire world, one thing which we can't never give back to any person is life. When life is gone, we can't give back. Whereas whenever life is there, we can try to improve it, we can try to better it. But if the life is gone, we can't give it. So fatal accidents, when we are studying, what we understood is that though it's a tourism-rich area where there are a lot of footfall of tourists, the majority of the people who are losing lives in Goa for 2 accidents are Goans only. And in that fatal accidents, where there are loss of lives, 67 to 80% of the people belongs to the age group which one of the speakers already mentioned, from 80 to 35 or 40. And of that, 80% to 90% of those people are two-wheelers. So the studies which have highlighted about the highways and what I have understood as far as SP North is concerned, I can't comment much upon the accidents in the South Goa district, but I have seen in North Goa the maximum number of districts happen in Pernam, fatal accidents I would say, Pernam, Bicholim, Old Goa. So if you see in these areas, the traffic density is not as high as in the other areas. So most of the people here highlighted Mercy Circle and all those people in and around Panjim, Porvorim and all, where accidents are not as fatal as which is happening in other places. in these areas there has been an increase in density of the vehicles. There has been an increase in density of the vehicles. So you can see more traffic jams. So you can't say traffic jams and accidents have got a correlation. I'm not always concluding it. It's open for discussion. Can be a correlation. But what I have seen is like majority of the accidents happen in area where you have the freedom to move the vehicle at their own speed. So 10 years back when I was in college, might be 15 years back. So we had kinetic Honda, which hardly used to go more than 30 to 40. But now even the Honda Activa and Suzuki, the vehicles, the automatic vehicles, they also reach 60, 70, 80 km per hour. And we have got various vehicles which you can pull the accelerator goes at very high speed. And majority of the people, once they get onto their bikes, they lose a track of the speed on which they are driving. Adding to that problem is the people are very reluctant to wear helmets. I myself met with an accident when I was studying in college, and the reason I am alive here was I was wearing a helmet. I had a friend who actually met with an accident, but he survived because he wore a helmet, but he was overspeeding in such a space that he lost his right hand. He lost his right hand and his right hand is useless. So I still have an injury on my left leg and I had a shoulder fracture. Then adding to that problem again is the pillion riders who are not even reluctant, who refuses to wear helmet. See, whatever discussions we have, whatever be the improvements will happen, it will take some time. We are a young country. As far as any independent nations are concerned, I consider my country as a young country because we can compare with any developed nations. They have got independence long back. They have different problems. We have different problems. We have a lot of diversity. We have a lot of issues to tackle. We are still improving. We are improving and we are doing a very good, marvelous job. But the scale of the problem is so high. One reason is the extent or the increase or the size of the population vis-a-vis any other country is very, very high. We have a big population. And we are moving from a poor country to a developing country and towards a developed country. So automatically there will be more per capita per person, where people have more spending power and they automatically will buy better and better vehicles. So we can't stop that. So what eminent speakers have already told is like we have to improve our systems, we have to improve our public system. But still I have a question. Like I have worked in Delhi and where we have a very good metro network, but still how many of the people stop using their cars? No. 100 meters you can walk, still we want to park the vehicle just in front of that where we have to get down. So as far as fitness is concerned, also that is a very bad thing. Okay. So we should actually try to reduce the dependence on the vehicles. That might be one thing which is very difficult. But since as a police officer and since we are dealing with a very serious issue, all these issues have been noted upon and government is very serious about it and we are working on that. But just wanted to highlight, taking that two examples which I have quoted. How much we discuss, this is only for the youngsters, it's mainly for the youngsters. See, how much I would discuss or how much whatever be the advice you take, your responsibility of your life is on yourself. You can't blame another person for what is happening to your life. Might be there is a problem with the road, might be, but at the same time, you are answerable to your life. Okay, we have a responsibility, but at the same time, there are some things which we can do. We can be careful. If something happens, tomorrow the government will be able to help you, government will be able to give you support. But it's that person who has to live with that problem throughout their life. For example, I'm talking about my friend who lost his hand. He was the best student of his year. He lost his hand, then he had to spend 1 year to learn how to use his left hand. Then he passed out and he is now doing good. But he lost his right hand. Okay, the government gave him support, the college gave him support, but the entire life that person has to live with that lost right hand. Okay, I might sympathize him with for a day. Tomorrow he can be one of my instances for me. But that particular person he has to live. Say suppose it's me, I have to live with that lost hand. Okay, in Vasco an accident happened. A father and mother, they were carrying the kid in the middle, and both of them were not wearing helmets. Both of the father and mother died. The kid is become an orphan. Who has to take the pain the entire life? Who has to take the pain the entire life? That is the question. If we are able to understand that, if every person is able to understand it, it's a very, very fearful thing. If you are able to understand that fear, that pain, then everybody will be responsible and everybody will follow the rules. The pain is like that kid has to grow alone. Who is going to take care? There are a lot of people who has lost their different parts of the body to accidents. And that was simple reason. You had drunk, you could have taken an auto, you could have taken a taxi, but still you are very confident. In movies you see, okay, the hero is jumping from 6 feet, 10 feet tall and he is just rolling over and nothing happens. I'll give you a simple example. I bang my head on this in this board, it will actually create injury to my head. Our human body is very, very, very weak. Very weak. Compared to all our human beings, we will be very strong. We can say like I have body, I have muscles. But compared to any other animals, our human body is very weak. But we have a very good brain, that is why we have been successful in mastering this world. But our body is weak. We are not strong enough to overcome that impact. In 30 km per hour also, even if you are traveling, if you are riding a cycle, it is maximum speed you can reach is 30 km per hour, and you fall from a cycle, you will have serious injuries. So that much we are weak. So the people who are thinking like who can go at very fast speed and can overcome any injury, they are very wrong. So when we are going at that high speed, when we are not wearing the helmet, for all the parents here, for all the fathers and mothers here, for all the grandfathers, all the brothers and all sisters here, if somebody is traveling from your house or starting from your house, ensure that they are wearing helmets. Because it is just a small decision. It's a small decision, either you can reach 5 minutes late or you can jeopardize your life. Either you can wear your helmet or you can risk losing your life. The improvements in the roads, the signages, everything, they will improve. It will take some time, but at the end it will improve. But the loss or the pain is for that person who has to undergo it, who has to go through it. I myself has endured pain as far as health is concerned, as far as body is concerned. So I know the pain is only with you. The pain is only with your dear relatives, the person who loses. The family members has to feel the loss. So if you are taking into that simple thing into consideration, everybody will be very, very careful. And I expect like everybody will be more responsible, like what eminent speaker has said in other places. People are more aware, or people follow the rules. And if we follow the rules, and we will definitely will be able to control more accidents. And as a representative from the Goa police, I am saying we Goa police are doing very good job. If at all we are not working hard, the number of accidents would have been very, very high. Okay, we are working very hard. That is why the number of accidents, well, vis-a-vis the number of accidents just happening is, well, it's in the limits. So we are doing a good job. We are actually synergizing more with other departments, and we will come up with more solutions, and we will improve the situation. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Kalsu, for your talk. Now I would request Mr. Edwin D'Souza, Assistant Director, Department of Transport, to make this presentation.
Respected dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, print media, and esteemed participants. Good evening. It is an honor and a privilege to stand before you today as we gather to address an important issue that affects us all: better road safety ecosystem in Goa. I extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you as you are present here to reflect commitment to creating a safer and a more secure environment to our communities. Road safety is a global concern and it touches life in every corner of the world. And also to us in our very state of Goa. Each day, countless lives are impacted by accidents, injuries and even fatalities on our road. It is a problem that requires our utmost attention, collaboration and dedication in finding effective solutions and creating a better road ecosystem. Today, we are gathered together as a diverse group of all stakeholders from government departments, law enforcement, transport department, road infrastructure developers, educational institutions, healthcare providers and public. We represent various fields of expertise, perspectives and experiences. The collective strength is what empowers us to make a meaningful difference. Road safety ecosystem, we are a part of encompasses multiple components that must work together seamlessly. Traffic regulations, law enforcement, vehicle safety technologies, road infrastructure, education and awareness, emergency response and medical services, research and data analysis, and public engagement. It is through the harmonious integration and collaboration of these components that we can achieve significant advancement in our road safety. Government enacts laws and regulations to govern traffic behavior. Speed limits are set, define vehicle safeties, and establish penalties for violations. I would say we should start incentivizing all the drivers for their safe driving. The drivers' behaviors which is